Hello students, and welcome to section 4.6 continued. The last thing we discussed was the graph of cotangent. The graph of cotangent has a period of pi, just like the graph of tangent. And as it turns out, when it comes to graphing cotangent, 1 over tangent works well, as does cosine over sine of x. You'll still need to make an xy table to do your analysis. And then when it comes to graphing your full period, 0 to pi, I recommend that you cut it in half at pi over 2 and cut that in half at pi over 4, and then go up by increments of a fourth, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 4/4 pi. Those respective outputs we've discussed with two vertical asymptotes, one at 0 and one at pi. And then you can see the cotangent graph take shape with these kind of cubic looking shapes in between each respective asymptote, this being one full period. So we actually have another period here, and so on and so forth. So all of these kind of cubic looking shapes in between asymptotes is a representation of one period. When it comes to finding respective asymptotes of a cotangent graph, this being the kind of parent function depiction of a vertical asymptote where n is an integer, pi times n, as you can see here, this would be an indication of pi times 0, pi times 1, pi times 2, and so on and so forth. We are going to be taking a look at more of these types of functions, but we're also going to be taking a look at other types of reciprocal functions. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next graph, of which is the equation of which is y equals -2 cotangent 2x. So to kickstart this problem, we'll go ahead and take a look at the a value, of which is, we'll say the absolute value of which is 2. So there will be a vertical stretch. There won't be any kind of amplitude to decipher, because technically tangents and cotangents do not have amplitudes. They don't have a max nor a min value to establish. However, we should establish that because of that number being greater than 1, 2, that a value, certainly there will be a vertical stretch. And as you can already see, I'm starting to write x-axis reflection, because that also will take shape as such. And we've seen reflections, of course, in the past. The b value being equal to 2 is indicative of a period of which is pi over that number. So the period being less than a typical cotangent period of pi, pi over 2 being less than that, is indicative of a horizontal shrink. When it comes to graphing, as usual and as we've done in the past, we'll make an XY table. We really only need 5 points to make our analysis clear. We'll use, again, because our period is pi over 2, we'll go from 0 to pi over 2. And if I cut that in half, I go pi over 4. And if I cut that in half, I go pi over 8. So 1/8 pi, 2/8 pi, 3/8 pi, and then of course 4/8 pi, or pi over 2. Turns out if we were to plug in 0, the cotangent of 0, and I do think it's imperative that we just keep in mind what we're reflecting upon. The cotangent of 0, just like we saw up here on this XY table, we're talking about the cosine of 0 over the sine of 0. The cosine of 0 is 1, while the sine of 0 is 0. So that would be undefined because we're trying to divide by 0, which isn't plausible. So that, of course, is a vertical asymptote if you relate back to the prior cotangent function we looked at. When we plug in pi over 8 times 2, that's pi over 4, the cotangent of pi over 4. In other words, the cosine of pi over 4 divided by the sine of pi over 4. That simply ends up being root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2, which is 1. 1 times -2, of course, is -2. We continue this process, plugging in pi over 4. 2 times pi over 4 is pi over 2. The cotangent of which, of course, again, we're seeing here is cosine of pi over 2 being 0, divided by sine of pi over 2 being 1. 0 times anything, of course, still 0. Plugging in 3 pi over 2. 2 times 3 pi over 8. 2 times 3 pi over 8 is 3 pi over 4, the cotangent of which would be cosine of that angle, which is negative root 2 over 2 divided by sine, which is root 2 over 2, and that ends up being -1. Times -2 is simply 2. I do urge you, as I'll kind of cut myself off here for the moment, I urge you to draw your half unit circle as we've done in the past, but also write down, like we did on the last problem, for example, the function as, instead of just -2 cotangent 2x, rewriting it as a fraction that has cosine and sine 2x. It's easier if you do it that way. I'm saying it verbally, but please try that as well. Pi over 2, if you plug in pi over 2, 2 times pi over 2, that's pi. The cotangent of pi, in other words, the cosine of pi divided by the sine of pi, cosine of which is -1, sine of which is 0. Dividing by 0 is undefined. So we don't even really multiply by -2 there to see that be the case. So undefined is what we are observing, again, a vertical asymptote. So when it comes to graphing, we'll go ahead and put this together such that, and again, I'll try to make 2 periods prevalent here. Typically, that's what the directions call for, if you recall. So we'll go ahead and identify where 0, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we're going up by eighths, so 1/8, 2/8, or pi over 4, 3/8, and then 4/8, of course, which would be pi over 2. Same holds true on the other side, where it's -pi over 8, -pi over 4, -3 pi over 8, and -pi over 2. So we are going to go as high as 2 and as low as -2 on this graph. 0 is undefined initially. Use a different color maybe for my vertical asymptote here at x equals 0. I'll continue where at pi over 8 we're down at -2. At pi over 4 we're at 0. At 3 pi over 8 we're at 2. Pi over 2, again, we've got a vertical asymptote. And that really should be enough for 1 period. However, I'll go the extra step. Again, this is a vertical asymptote, of course. But if we go that extra step where we're not just graphing 1 period, okay, we're not just graphing 1 period, but we're graphing 2 periods, of course. Kind of helps to have kind of a broader perspective. If, in fact, you don't see this kind of cubic shape, maybe you only see half of a cubic shape, you might certainly want 2 periods, even if the directions don't ask for it. I try to do that so that you guys can see whether or not the directions ask for it, what will be a good way to visualize this. Okay, so those are the values respectively on the other side there. The vertical asymptote at -pi over 2 is also something to take into account. And it shouldn't be a big surprise because each vertical asymptote is depicted as such where you can then say, okay, in between these two, we've got our kind of cubic looking shape. So that, if I could draw a nice curve, there we go. So the curves, of course, approach those asymptotes as we've discussed in the past, but never technically touch nor cross those asymptotes. So that should cover it. Later we will talk more in depth about how the asymptotes kind of progress, measuring it against this particular formula. Okay, because the period is different in this particular case, the asymptotes are going progressively up to the right, but also down to the left, so to speak, with the new period in mind. Let's move on. Graphs of more reciprocal functions. The sine and cosecant functions are reciprocals, as are the cosine and secant. For cosecant, where the sine is 0, cosecant has a vertical asymptote. Where the sine has a relative max, cosecant has a relative min. And where the sine has a relative min, cosecant has a relative max. This will actually be very much like cosine and its reciprocal, secant. So what I'd like us to do in terms of starting the process, just like we did on tangent and cotangent, I'd like to rewrite this as the reciprocal, as we know it to be, of course, 1 over sine. Now, sine is very lightly graphed underneath, so to speak, the cosecant function, but that's okay because I want you to interpret it in such a way where you can really make the connection between the two. So the graph of the sine function, not surprisingly, has all the features we're familiar with. It should. The sine of 0 is 0. The sine of pi over 2 is 1. The sine of pi is 0. The sine of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1. And then the sine of 2 pi is back up at 0. That's, again, just one period of sine that I distinguished with those 5 points. Cosecant, as it turns out, because it's the reciprocal, of course, of sine, it's going to have a vertical asymptote at the x-intercept. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because with our xy table analysis, again, the period is technically the same. We're not changing the period because the b value is still 1. So the b value dictates the period, of course, still to be 2 pi over that, or in this case 2 pi. 2 pi over 1, so 2 pi. So if I cut it in half, and again in half, and up by halves, so we're looking at these increments. Okay, this should be enough to get the basic gist, but let's just see how and why things take shape more specifically. If you plug in 0, plugging in 0 in the denominator, 1 divided by the sine of 0, or 1 divided by 0, of course, undefined. So we've got a vertical asymptote right away at 0, as I already indicated on the graph. And you can see that. Pi over 2, plug it in, the sine of pi over 2, that being 1, 1 divided by 1 is 1. So that's why you have a point here on the cosecant graph, which ends up being the same as the maximum on the sine. At pi, you're taking the sine of pi, which is 0. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. So that is also a vertical asymptote. Okay, 3 pi over 2, if you take the sine of that, it's negative 1. So 1 divided by negative 1 being negative 1, that's the next point to highlight. And then we continue at 2 pi, the sine of which is 0. 1 divided by 0, of course, again is undefined. So you've got your last vertical asymptote in this singular period. So this particular graph of cosecant has a period of 2 pi. The curves do take shape, as you see, but only because you're really wanting, or at least you should want to maybe test the waters on a value like pi over 4, which won't be a nice decimal, but also 3 pi over 4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. But also if you extend that to, again, if we're going up by fourths, 5/4 and 7/4 pi. I urge you to test those values so that you can, in effect, see the official graph take shape. It looks like a parabola. It is not, because, again, the asymptotes limit this function from widening out. This function will not widen out. It'll come closer and closer to the asymptotes, but never technically touch nor cross. So although they look like parabolas, they're not. Again, I do urge you, though, to try, for example, and you can do this separately on your own, what pi over 4 entails as far as its y-coordinate. So go ahead and test that if you'd like. But also, I urge you to try 3 pi over 4. Two very good values to test and see what those end up being. Those two y's in particular will be identical. They won't be nice values, they'll be decimals, but they're still nice to see how, when you do plot those appropriately, the graph taking shape as such. Same goes with this curve. If you wanted to test 5 and 7 pi over 4. Test those and you'll see it take shape. Moving on, the graph of secant, just like the graph of cosecant, should take shape. I'm going to take a quick moment here and just type this into my graphing calculator, in which we'll see if I just simply type in 1 over cosine. And yes, you should be able to still do this without a calculator. I urge you to try it without a calculator first on your own after you watch this video. If I hit, we'll make sure mode is radians, it is, and zoom 7. Here comes your secant function graph. And I'm just going to pull that into my, my notes here so you can take a look. Okay. So what I'll ask you to do is finish the rest of these notes, mostly on your own. I'll make a depiction of the calendar for you guys to finish this up. Okay. So that should cover it for today. Please wrap this up and take a look and see how the rest of these reciprocal functions take shape accordingly.